yes. Warmly, warmly welcome to this episode of Speak Up Monday. My name is Natalie, and I'm so happy, excited, and grateful and honored to be hosting this episode, this women's panel discussion with these three brilliant, very inspirational, and fabulous ladies that you will get to know in just a little bit. I will ask you to introduce yourself, but before we do that, hello, lovely, beautiful people sitting here in front of us. You look amazing. How are you? Great. Woo-hoo. Okay, and for all those of you who are watching live, this camera, welcome here as well. So, the topic for this episode, Women of Impact, inspiring positive change in the world. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, before I let you ladies introduce yourself, let's talk a little bit about the word impact. What it truly means. If you would Google the word and look into the definition, it says something similar about having a strong effect on something or someone. So how can we do that? Can we do that individually? And can we potentially do that, obviously, through our businesses, through our passions, and so on? And these ladies have a lot of things to share. As always, I say each lady could be like a single book. So we could be sitting here for a lot of hours, and my challenge is always to kind of try to pull everything together. But that's what we're going to talk about. And obviously, as always, I will invite you further on to ask questions in the audience. And you who watch live get to follow us for the flow as well. So that's it. Again, warmly welcome. So I'm happy to have you here. And Charlotte, Miriam, and Peggy, warmly, warmly welcome to you as well. So, yeah. Okay, so let's start with you. In short, who are you? What do you do? And also, I want to add, how come you're here in Bali? Because most often when I ask that question, we always get a very interesting reply. So yeah, just in short, who are you, what you do, and how come you're in Bali? Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for having us today. Really appreciate it. Really excited to be here with you wonderful ladies. So my name is Charlotte. I was born and raised in France. I think I just heard another French lady here. And too close? Okay. So I was born and raised in France, and I decided to leave my country about 10 years ago. After a few years in corporate consulting, and I did a few years of backpacking in Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, and somehow Indonesia was the country that kind of felt home from the first time I traveled here. So after a few years here, I decided to give back to the community, and in the field that is the most comfortable for me, or the field I'm most interested in, which is sustainability. But I guess I'll develop that a bit later. But yeah, this is how I got to Bali.
Wow, and we could dive into her story so much more. But yeah, obviously that was the short version. Thank you very much, Charlotte. And Miriam.
Hi, everyone. And nice to see you here. And thank you so much, Natalie, to give me this opportunity. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here. So I'm Miriam. I'm from Switzerland. And I came here 4 years ago, and I came here to stay. I'm half Swiss and half Indonesian, and this wonderful country, sorry, I'm very nervous, that's why I make my note. This country with its place and culture grabbed me and inspired me and gave me this opportunity, what I do now. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Instant Karma magazine. Yeah.
Woo! I want to add on something that before I met Miriam in person, I actually read Beautiful Karma magazine, and I was so inspired, and I knew that I wanted to meet the lady, and I got the opportunity through Robert here. So very excited to dive into your story as well. And last but not least, we have the gorgeous Peggy.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you, my beautiful ladies with me, and then thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Peggy Leiling Chen. I'm actually from Taiwan. I am business consultant and have been talking on the stage for more than 20 years. But lately, I changed my mission, and I want to help a woman to deal with the emotions and help them to believe you can love again. I mean, you can define what kind of things you like to love. It can be, in different relationships with ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. So, and it's also very interesting that when you ask this question, why I'm here. Actually, 2014, that was my first time to come to Bali. At that moment, I was struggling with my divorce. So I came here and I feel like, oh my God, it's a healing power. I feel like, oh, okay. At least I found somewhere that I feel belong to. And so I guess since then, I always feel Bali is my home. And now officially, I made it my home.
Wow, beautiful. Who can relate here with what Peg is sharing, feeling that Bali is our home? Wow, thank you so much. And I'm repeating myself, like same with you, Peggy, for all of you ladies. Super, super inspirational and interesting stories. Let's see if we can get the best nuggets from each and every one of you here. So, circling back to the topic, women of impact, and how we can use our personal stories and our perhaps biggest setbacks, failures, rock bottoms, to actually grow and evolve as human beings and have that impact the choices we make when it comes to our purpose and wanting to contribute to a better world in some way. So contribution and impact, I think that's a basic human need. We all want to, in some kind of way, make a difference, create change. That's like a drive we have from within. And I'm curious then to hear from you ladies, because, we all reach a point where we can choose to go straight, or we can go where everybody else seems to go, left in this case. Or we can just, have a very big, huge curiosity for what's on the other side. What would happen if I go right, or whatever it would be. And what is it that have had you ladies to take a very, a perhaps different path than the more conventional? What would you say had been a defining moment that have had your whole life to change around in another turn, which is actually what has been imperative for what you are doing today and for the way that you are contributing and creating impact today? Who would feel called to share to begin with?
Yeah, it's interesting because you're saying, how is it that some people take another tangent compared to, let's say, the majority or the common path? And I actually had a discussion with a friend some years ago where he was telling me, what you're doing, traveling, backpacking, just leaving the country and going abroad, is actually pretty brave. And I looked at him and I was like, I feel like I took the easy way out. To me, it felt very much like I had to go out of my country, and it was actually the easy way to just leave everything behind and just go. So I guess some people are just wired a bit differently that way. And yeah, I guess the travel was the main component in what brought me to do what I'm doing now. And it came because, we say everything happens for a reason, but basically when I was in France, everything kind of ended at the same point. So I ended a contract, I ended my lease, I ended a relationship, all in a couple of weeks. And I was like, okay, what do I do with this? It's everything is finished. What do I do? Do I just restart a new lease, or do I do something quite new? And I guess just looking up online and discussing with people, some things just fall into place, and you start thinking, okay, maybe I should just go very far from where I am and just start something completely new. And that's how the travel started. And I would say that's what kind of opened my mind to seeing new things and slowly but surely going to what I'm doing now in sustainability.
Wow. So just an add-on to that, what would you say then, taking the other path, so to say, in what way have that shifted your mindset? If you would compare yourself to Charlotte, I don't know, remember how many years you did at the university studying, going for the academics. In what sense would you say that your mindset is different today compared to the Charlotte you used to be back then, back in France?
Yeah, incredibly different. I guess at the time I was kind of conditioned in a very French way, probably European way of thinking, the more you study, the better it is. And I was already not taking the right path at the time because I was changing every year, which already sounded weird. In France, people were like, oh, why did you not do 5 years in law? Why did you not do 5 years in business? No, 1 year in literature, 1 year in business, 1 year here, 1 year there. So I guess it was already my way of not feeling like I belonged there, and I needed to explore other things. But I wasn't conscious of it. I guess that's the difference. When I took that different direction, it became very much obvious that I needed to explore new ways and discuss with more people, get to know more people, explore new ways, and just slowly but surely meeting new people, new nationalities, new cultures, and just discovering there were new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things.
New ways of being, new ways of doing things. And I know that we are people from all over the world here in this room. Only here we have Taiwan, Switzerland, France, Sweden, and well, I know that we have the whole world here basically, and the whole world is watching as well, if we want to make it big. And just having that sense, I think, who could relate in the audience, going traveling, widening our worlds, meeting other people, getting new perspectives on how things can be done and the possibilities. Who would say that traveling have been, pivotal for you guys, some of you who are here in the audience, for changing mindsets?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, for you who are watching, all hands up basically. So thank you for sharing, Charlotte. And for you ladies, Peggy or Miriam, what would you say have been like a defining moment for you where you decided to embark on, a different path, so to say?
So back in Switzerland, I was a therapist. I did in the holistic field, and also I had some changes. And I am a single mom. My daughter was 12, 13-ish. And she had also in her mind that she gets stuck as well at school, and she needed a change. Me in the same time as well, because I used to work with a really good doctor, and he passed away because he was already very old. And I was also my thoughts, what I'm gonna do. My daughter is getting older. When she's 16, she wants to go and see the world and traveling, all that, and that makes me, oh my God, right? So, and then also my other roots was calling me, Indonesia. So I was thinking where I'm going to live. One opportunity was Portugal or Indonesia, and of course Indonesia because I'm half Indonesian. And then my partner as well, he was stuck as well at some point, and then all three of us, we were thinking the same thing, and then we said, okay, then let's plan it. And we discussed it in February. In May, we went to Bali and checked some schools out, places. We came back in June, and 21st of June, we made the decision, yes or no. Yes, and then in 1 month, we off. It was pretty fast, and I've told no one actually, because they would say, you crazy, what are you doing? Did you thought on this, that? And then, just 1 week before we left, I've told, of course my father, I've told him that I will move to Indonesia. And then I asked him, you think I'm crazy? And he said, yes, but that's you, just do it. And you do the opposite way, because my mom, she came to Europe, because she was working, and now I am going to Indonesia and meet my other roots. And I was also pretty naive, because we didn't have so much time to plan it. So I thought, I'm half Indonesian, I have a business visa, everything is good, I can do my work. I did in Switzerland. And so when we arrived here, it was, yeah, very challenging, but good. And then, yeah, I do now something different. I was always loving storytelling, and since I'm a kid, and now I'm doing this. So, yeah, this place here is so magic. It brings you, your other gifts, and you just do it. In Switzerland, I was also in this comfort zone, right? Yeah, it's beautiful, it's nice. I'm happy to grow up there, but something was missing. Really, something was missing. And here, you have a lot of challenges, but it's good. It's really good. And yeah, I love what I'm doing, and yeah.
Isn't it the most beautiful thing when you just get to see people who are, aligned with their passions, just glowing when they're sharing what they're doing? I love it. And we will dive into the challenges as well, because obviously I know that we have a couple of them as well. And it's interesting to hear you speak, mentioning you did it too, Charlotte, and I know you did it in as well, Peggy. Having a sense of feeling that Bali does something to us. It sounds very cliche, but it's actually true. It gathers people, and it makes it easier for us to be in this creative energy where we just get to explore our innate gifts, talents, and yeah, I think explore would be the word. So yeah, we will dive into that as well. And speaking about, challenges, let's start with your defining moment. Obviously, you've shared, being born and raised in Taiwan, where there is, obviously, as in all parts of the world, we have different cultures and norms on what to do and who to be and so on. And you embarked on a path less traveled quite early. Would you want to share with us your, defining moment?
It's very interesting. After listening to Charlotte's story, and she mentioned that in France, and people were supposed to, work in the same career for long term. Actually, it's the same. In Asian culture, we are encouraged to, stick on one path forever. But I would like to say I'm always a black sheep at home. And when I was 10, actually, we were 9 people stayed in a small apartment, about 60 square meters. And so it was really crowded, and I couldn't really find time, space for myself to study. So the turning point, actually, there was about 2 a.m., and I woke up and started in a toilet. Because there was only the space at the apartment I could find, and then I wouldn't disturb anyone else. So I closed the bathroom door, sat on toilet. Imagine myself that, oh my God, it's my own studio in the future, and the bathtub would be my bed, and here is my desk. But the funny thing is, when I was in university the first year, the room I rented, it was exactly the same size of the bathroom. It was super tiny, small, was kind of like a cage. And so that was a turning point. I told myself, I was 10, I said that I needed to leave this home. I don't want to stay here forever. I could do something bigger. I could do something that probably not really meet my parents' expectation. But it's my life. I don't want to live for my parents or anyone else. I want to live for myself. That's my life. And so that I think that was the first time I feel that inner voice inside of me and yelling at me that you have to do something for yourself instead of expectations from others.
Yeah, so we will obviously speak more about the power of mindset. Peggy, you were sharing what you were thinking when you were standing in that teeny tiny bathroom, just making it grand and big. Never, ever underestimate the power of imagination. We'll just make things happen in our minds, and that's where things start. I mean, look at you now. You will get to hear more of the story. It's amazing. So I feel as we're talking about these things, let's speak a little bit about pivoting. Because going back to the full thing, when we make that choice, for example, Miriam, you said, okay, within a month, off we go. We moved to the other side of the world. You know, you went to Australia. You just decided to challenge your family's expectations and so on. You went for it, and also, I think it's fair to say that it requires a lot of courage to pivot, because most often we do not pivot without taking huge leaps of faith. Like huge leaps of faith. And most often we have to take the leaps over and over and over and over again. So what would you say that courage you needed to find within in order to actually make that pivot? Like, let me ask you, Charlotte, what would you say, where does that come from, and where does it come from now?
I'm genuine when I say I think it's the easy way out for me. I don't think it has courage, because that's just the way I'm wired. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm just not going to think about it, because if I take the time to think about it, very much like you, Miriam, I might just step back and not do it anymore. So every decision that I've made from the moment I left and I went to Australia was on a whim. And I kind of see where you're going, where you're going there. The work experiences that I had in Australia were very, very different from what I had in France. So I was like, okay, what can I do that's going to be easy as a backpacker? Farm jobs, hospitality, and I ended up working in a prawn farm, a shrimp farm, for half a year or something, almost half a year, where I was literally just carrying boxes, and I was loving it. That's the weird thing. It's like I went from an office to a farm where it was stinking, and I hate prawns on top of it. I actually don't like eating prawns. So you have to be there at like 4 a.m. with that smell of the raw prawn coming out of the pond. And let me tell you, it's something, and it smells really bad. But I was actually, after probably a bit of adaptation, really enjoying it and enjoying working with people there, and the atmosphere that was completely different, and the type of people that were completely different. And I guess that's back to what you were saying of pivoting and sometimes doing it again and again, because you always have this voice that's telling you, yeah, but I did those studies. I studied for 5 years. And it's still there, like what people think back home. Maybe I should be back to an office, so you try again, and then you hate it again. And so you're back to something probably more humble, but that just sticks with you better. So after this prawn experience, obviously there was
the prawn experience.
There was quite like a few others, and then I tried again to go to an office in New Zealand, and I got hired as a backpacker for a consulting job for like a year, which is pretty rare, because I was like, oh, I'm here for a year, and I got a 1-year contract. What are the odds? And it was like a big consulting company, and I get there and I quit after a few months. I started again, and I was like, no, there's no way I'm doing this again. Actually, I remember why I left in the first place, so I'm going to stop now, which I did, and I went to dishwashing. And I went to dishwashing after that, and I was actually way happier, and I would go surfing in the morning, dishwashing in the evening, and I was like, yeah, this is not it, don't get me wrong. I knew there was more for me than just dishwashing, but I was like, okay, it gives me time to figure it out, and I'm with the people that I don't know, I relate to more, and I can connect with people that I relate to more, and somehow will find what gets me excited over time, which I did eventually.
So I just have to quote Steve Jobs. I think I tend to do it every time we do this episode because it's so good. He said, you know, we just have to, sometimes we can't connect the dots looking backwards. Sorry, we can't. Exactly. We can't connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect them looking backwards. Thank you for saving that one. And basically just have that faith that even if it doesn't make, you know, logical sense right now, somehow in the future, we will be able to see the bigger picture. So speaking about going back to impact, I just want to highlight a part of this story that I know about. So starting here, we were speaking about impact and how we as individuals can create impact every single day through how we choose to show up, not only in our business and through entrepreneurship, but how we show up as people, how we show love and kindness and respect, whether I go and order a coffee or I sit here and communicate with the lovely staff, or, you know, whenever, wherever. And I know that you shared, Charlotte, basically having this thing, oh, I have to go back. I have to go back to the real world, the normal world, which would be, well, the other world, so to speak. And I remember you were saying having a really good friend that basically asked you one question, speaking about having impact. And it was something like, why do you keep saying that you have to go back, or that this is a dream, that the dream has to end? Can you please just do it in your way so it gets correct?
So yeah, it was a very good friend of mine during the prawn farm, actually. And he told me one night, because I kept repeating, somehow I didn't realize, but I kept repeating every day, oh, when this bubble ends, when I'm back home, and I'll be back to the office job, when the dream kind of ends. And he was like, Charlotte, I keep hearing you say that every other day. But you also keep telling me that the best friends you've met ever are here, and your best experiences ever have been here. So why couldn't that be your reality? Why can you not make this your reality and, yeah, probably shape it in a way that's gonna, not leave you only in the prawn farm, which wasn't my ultimate dream, but yeah, just shape this so that it gets where you want to go. But don't say that this is the dream and your boring life or what you don't like doing is your reality. And that kind of switched my perspective completely, yeah.
I just wanted to highlight that because it's such a good story of, yes, we get to choose and create our own realities. And yes, it might sound like a cliche, we know it, but it holds power. Wow, we get to choose. And I hear that a lot being here in Bali. Is a bubble, like the Bali bubble? Or is it really? Who gets to decide what's reality and what's real and what's not? So that's just powerful. And circling back to impact, obviously, I don't know if your friend knows that we're speaking about this now. No, but the impact that single phrase actually had on you. So that's what I mean. Never underestimate you, even if it might just be, a sentence or something that you're sharing to a friend or, your coworker or whatever. Because words create things, speaking about impact. So I just wanted to highlight that because I thought that was interesting. Thank you, Charlotte. Okay, so going back to the other ladies here, pivoting. Peggy, I know that you just recently pivoted, actually. Yeah, because we can pivot many times through our lives.
Yeah, and I feel like you're right, like what I mentioned in the very beginning, because I did help women to start up and talking in leadership and do training on team building for more than 20 years. And I spent a lot of time, money, and create a team to create a new program. And really lately, I realized that it's not exactly what I really want to do in my rest of my life. And you know what? Sometimes it's a really challenging moment that you needed to say no to something that you used to believe that was something that's meaningful for you, but now you realize that you actually want to go another path. And I think that it is also very challenging the moment for myself. Like, do you want to do it, or you don't want to let go just because you invested a lot of time and energy? You couldn't let go because of the attachment, or because you really love it? And also back to the bubble stuff. So I talked to my friend as well, and she said, but you spent lots of time, and you were expert over this field. And what if you couldn't get clients for your new niche? And I say, shut up. I appreciate that, because when people say, oh, you can't do that, oh my God, no, it's not good for you. Actually, it was kind of like my motivation. I would like to say, you will see that.
Yes, sister.
Yes. Because my life is not living in other people's mouths. I live for myself. And I like to introduce my tattoo here. So this is Daisy, and actually it's Margarita flower. And Margarita is my official name on my passport. And actually this stem here, it's like, thank you. So it's a short Invictus. So in Latin, Invictus means unbeatable. And so this flower represents me, and I am unbeatable Peggy. And so when I feel sad, I feel down, it's kind of like my anchor. Of course, we could be rejected by people around us. We couldn't be understood. We feel lonely. But no, you don't need to feel lonely because we have support right here. And what I really learned when you need support, you needed to say, I need help. Because many people, especially women, we try to be strong, we try to be tough, we try to take care of others, but instead of ourselves. And so I would say, allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's also, for me, it's another meaning of unbeatable.
Wow, that was a little motivational speaker. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Unbeatable. Oh, amazing. And I think we can all take this as a reminder of sometimes choose who we share our big dreams with, because it's very easy to get affected by naysayers or whatever and not speaking about separation or something, but sometimes to be a little bit cautious about our big dreams and when we want to pivot and so on. And speaking about being a woman in business, and Miriam, you obviously shared before, being a mother and building a business from scratch, at the same time moving to the other side of the world. What would you say, what has been your biggest challenge on that path of doing the full thing?
Yeah, I had many challenges, and it sounds maybe cliche, but it's very important to follow your heart, especially when you face your challenges, and ask yourself, and that's, for me, a big impact is ask yourself, what do you want? Where do you want to live? With who do you want to spend the time? And all that. And you have always the choice. That is helpful to remember yourself. You can choose where you want to be and who you want to be. And challenges are also, very good. So it gives you the possibility to grow, and in the end, it's experience, and it's life, and that's why I love life so much, because it's so magical, and for this we are here to make our experiences, and that we can choose. And now I'm here, I'm doing the magazine. For me, it was like we tried other things, and then COVID came, and then suddenly, when I'm listening music, I create thoughts as well. What can I do? What could we do? And so on. And then suddenly, let's create the magazine, because I was traveling during COVID and I met amazing people, amazing places, and they did impacts and all that. And I write this already down, and I was saying, let's create a magazine and write all these stories and inspiration. And then, my partner said, but how you want to call the magazine? And then instant karma, because it's what's happening a lot in Bali, and also these people or places or the change maker I bring in the magazine, they do instant karma and are an inspiration, and that's why I started to create that and just writing it. And after the 3rd edition, I was just, for who I'm gonna write this magazine? Who is gonna read this content, right? I was like, oh my God. But then my partner, he is really pushing me and tell me, we have. He's doing the operational stuff, and so we do this, and then okay, and then it's starting, giving me reaction. Like Xenia, she's also in the audience. She just wrote us. Maybe it was the 7th edition. She said, "Oh, I saw your magazine and I love it, and I would love to contribute." And like that, and that's, it's working. You inspire people, and it's this, so I lost it a bit. So it's just impact. It starts with yourself, and it's very important that you are honest to yourself. I think it's an act of self-love as well. So that, yeah, where you want to go and with who you want to be and what you want to do, and ask yourself that always, and you have always the choice. And yeah, when life is a bit challenging, yeah, just breathe, and they are amazing people you can also share, or yeah, it's good to have good people around, or also spending time with yourself. Actually, we are never alone, we are with ourselves.
Yeah, a little applaud for that. So yeah, just to summarize, having, like you said in the beginning, to be able to have the courage to follow your heart and to listen to yourself, ourselves, and to make sure that we connect ourselves, we surround ourselves with like-minded who support us and uplift us and inspire us to be great and greater, and so on. And I was one of the people sitting in a coffee place reading your magazine before I met you, and I was inspired. So speaking about creating impact, we never know where our message is how far it's actually reaching and how far it's getting. Thank you for sharing, Miriam. So what would you say then, you, Charlotte, challenges? What has been your biggest challenge to this date? Your biggest challenge?
To this date, well, that's probably the business that we're starting now and getting it to roll. Simply because, well, I think if there's like other entrepreneurs here, Indonesia is definitely a different culture from what I know here back in France, and it's a lot of adaptation, a lot of trying to understand how it's different and how to merge into it, and that alone takes, a lot of time and patience to just adapt and merge. I guess that's what it is. So the biggest challenge that we have, maybe I should explain a bit what we're doing, because I don't think I've been jumping into that too much.
This lady started a fantastic company here in business called Nolimba. So yeah, please introduce what you do for a bit.
Yes, just so the challenges will make sense if I actually explain what we're doing. So we are building a mobile application that is sort of a Gojek or an Uber for waste collection, that connect the collectors, the local collectors, to the households, and more so in the underserved communities, so underserved villages that don't have that much waste collection. And the idea is that instead of paying the waste collection service like it's the case for a lot of cities around here, people get paid by these collectors. So it gives them some incentive to want to have their waste collected instead of burning it or discarding it in the environment, right? So now that I've described what we're doing, you can imagine, since it's a marketplace, right? It's a platform that connects people, that it takes a lot of people involved into it. And getting people on board is a lot of legwork. We're talking about villages, not just the city. So it's not, communicating with only social media or online platform. It's a lot of going out there, talking to people, trying to show them the interest of what we're doing, getting them on board if they're not happy with it, because we were very early on. Why are you not happy? Discussing with people, improving. So it's a lot of back and forth and a lot of legwork, and that alone takes a lot of time, and of course represents a lot of challenges, amazing challenges. I love it. I love being out there and spending a lot of time with people. But yeah, it's very time consuming and a very slow process, and you have to enjoy the process because otherwise it's difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we could dive deeper into what you guys are doing because it's just incredible. And I will share that in the later of this episode, where you can find out a little bit more about what these ladies are doing and how they're creating impact in this world. So I hear you. Creating impact, breaking barriers, moving communities forward, and creating intentional positive change that way. And also going back to your stories, for example, going back and just trusting that nothing has ever been a waste, that every single thing that you ladies have been, experiencing, that you have been doing, whether it's been academic or personal struggles or whatever, that every single little thing fits in just perfectly in what you are doing right now. And you will understand more what I mean the further we come in this conversation. So thank you for sharing, Charlotte. What about you, Peggy? What would you say challenges for you? Because I know you had I don't know where to where to start. I mean, there's so much. For example, I know that you had something big happening when you were like 25.
Yeah, when I was 26, actually, I got 100,000 US dollars in debt.
100,000 USD. Just kidding.
So at the time, I appreciate actually I was young. I was not 62 and I got this debt. Instead, I was 26 and I got the debt. But I would say because of the debt, I needed to work work 2 different jobs: daytime, full-time jobs, and nighttime. And nighttime, I worked in a pub actually, and where I learned English. I mean, of course, I studied it in school, but school English was nothing. And then I am talking about, so that was a quite challenging point, but I also learned a lot from that difficulty in my whole life. That another day we talked about, so another, one night I met a guy who was a backpacker. And he came to the pub and only 1 pint for all night. And at the time, my English was terrible. I could only say like phrases. So I said, "You poor." And he said, he was a little bit embarrassed, I think. He said, yeah, I didn't have money. And he said, yeah, you no money, but how you travel? And he traveled from one European country, I didn't remember. And he said, oh, easy, budget flight. And I even didn't know what budget. I didn't really know what budget means. And I asked, budget? So he really, he made his best to describe everything, like a budget flight and also couch surfing, anything. You didn't need to spend lots of money. And I learned, and I changed my whole world. Because previously, I believed that if you want to travel abroad, you needed to be rich. You needed to have a lot of money. You needed to have a lot of time. And since that night, that guy, I bet he never believed he changed whole my life. Because of that, I changed my perspective of travel. And then I thought, if I want to travel, I don't need money. I don't even need the time. I just, time would be there. Money would be there. I don't need money. And then a magic, this really amazing thing happened. Just a few weeks later from that night, I was invited to go to France, Paris, for free. And it was my first time went abroad. And until now, I've been traveled to 49 countries and then used to live in 4 different countries. And now I'm living in Bali. And that's just, so the challenge, the date was my challenge, of course. But because now I would say it was my gift in the same time. Without that gift, I wouldn't have, worked in the pub and met a lot of people around the world. And then I couldn't really think English would be my thing, and now I'm here. And then now every time when I say that back, when I look back, with this history, I feel like, oh my God, thank you, someone just got my money out. Thank you. I got enough. Thank you. Yeah.
This is such a beautiful story. And again, going back to this backpacker, wherever he might be in the world today, he has no idea that we're talking about here. And again, like the impact that he made on you and just shifted your perspective. So speaking about mindset, when we go through these challenges and rock bottoms or whatever it might be, all the things, to just, like you said, Peggy, how can we just shift our mindset and just think of it as, okay, how can I find a gift in this? It must be a blessing in disguise, and kind of just navigate ourselves so we can keep that mindset. Not saying it's easy in the middle of the storm, but in hindsight, at least, wow. So it's just amazing going back to the word impact and how we can implement it on ourselves and what we do and say and share in so many different aspects. And I also heard you saying there, shifting your mindset. You needed to have that corporate, fancy, amazing, well-paid job during the day, and in the night you were at the bar connecting with people, widening your mind, set, probably could say. So perhaps we can disagree that life is, the university of living life. And I remember once a friend of mine, he told me, so Natalie, either we walk through life as passive participants, or we just walk through the colors as active participants and create our own living. And I always remember that, do we stay passive when things like this happen, or do we just stay active and get proactive and create something good? And look at you ladies now. It's just, it's very inspirational. So going back to connecting the dots in the back, I know, Miriam, that you have a big passion for something that you call Bali Banditas. What do you want to share?
Yeah, that was actually my first project. And from this project, we create instant karma. And I think when I have more time, I will continue that. It's a woman empowerment. I implemented actually in the magazine as well, the section I call Bandita, because back in Switzerland, I had a lot of friends from South America, and we called each other banditas. Hey, bandita, how are you? Like that. So they are badass women in a good way. And I thought also when I arrived here, I am a bandita because for me it was really challenging to drive in this beautiful chaos with the scooter. And then when I was on my scooter driving, said, oh yes, I'm a bandita, I'm a Bali bandita. And then I met so many empowered women. So that's why I introduce in every edition a woman who is doing empowerment to empower other women again. So, and there are a lot, and in the world, in Bali, everywhere. Also men, of course, but in this section I focus on that.
I love that you said, what did you say, badass women. Badass but good. Like good badass women. Get it. I love it. Okay, well, thank you for sharing. Beautiful. So what would you say, lady, if we were to speak about the word impact? I mean, because, again, we can create impact in so many different ways, and we get to do that every single day by how we choose to show up in this world, which is the most beautiful thing and powerful thing when you when we truly, fully think about it. Wow, I, as a human being, have the power to create impact the moment I wake up and open my eyes. That's powerful. So going back to what you are doing today, because of who you are, what you have been going through, and all of that then that has created what you're doing today. And I know that you are so tapped into your passions and your gifts and talents, and that all of that has been coming from your journeys. So what would you say impact in your business? What does that mean to you today? How do you create impact? What's your belief about that, your mission? Peggy, I have eye contact with you.
Yes. Okay. That's a really good question. I would like to say, in my culture, in Asian culture, we don't really talk about love at home. I probably don't really hear my parents say "I love you" in my whole life. I'm 45, so it's been quite years, and we didn't really have like a emotion expression as well. We didn't really have a touching. And another day, I watched a video talking about love language. It didn't really happen in Asian culture. I never heard about my mom say, "Oh my God, good job, daughter." No, my mom just say, "Keep going." What? Kind of like a tiger mom style. And then so one thing in love language is a service. No, it's not love. It's an obligation. So for me, I feel struggle with dealing with love. I love parents, love families, love friends, love my coworkers, anyone. It feels weird for me if I hear someone I never met before, and that they say sending you love, especially in Bali, and when you join in some circles or healing groups or workshop, and they will say, "I love you," sending love. I don't understand. Why you love me? We even barely talk, And then after a few years, I soaked myself in this environment, and I realized, oh, okay, so love is actually it's universal language. Everyone needs love, and among our families, we love each other, but just because we didn't learn how to express the love, we didn't express to show our love, we didn't really express to share our emotions. And when I give coaching sessions to some business owners or executives, I realized that they are also lack of love. They don't know how to love their business. They even do something they don't love and want to be successful. And it gave me some ideas, back to, I think it has been 10 years I was struggling in love, this thing. And I realized that actually love is simple, just be true to yourself, to be honest to yourself, to be vulnerable in front of people who you love each other. I mean, you feel you love each other. And now I learn, and also I practice myself. I say something to my parents more with a softened word, because if I said I love you, they will say, "What's going on? What's wrong with you? Are you in date again?" My mom would say so. So now I don't really say I love you, but I would say, "Oh, you know what? Actually, I miss you guys." And my mom say, "Woo, oh my God, why you want to say that?" But I force them to accept that. And so now that's a really big point for me. I like to really make an impact that before you think about you want to make an impact, think about how you want to love yourself and how you want to believe in yourself and how you want to impact yourself first. And once you believe that you are doing something, you are changing something, you are turning the so-called transformation point, because transformation, it's painful, it hurt. You need to struggle and suffering, but you conquer, you overcome. That's love, actually. That's impact. That's a huge, beautiful impact. And because of that, you don't even need to talk. You show people by your own behaviors, by what you're doing. So that's what I'm doing now. I love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah. Oh my God, it feels so good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peggy, for that love shower. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful. And just to sum up, obviously, speaking about practicing, not just self-love in the sense, go to the spa or do a massage or whatever, but we're speaking about practicing radical self-love, meaning practicing how can we love ourselves through all the things, when we go through hardship, when we go through rock bottoms, when things are not working the way we think it should, and so on. Obviously, that takes practice, it takes courage, and I love what you're doing. It's inspirational, and it's so much love here. Okay, thank you. So to sum up, obviously, everything starts from within. So by working on ourselves, changing ourselves from within, we create ripples outside to the world. So that was a very beautiful sharing. Thank you. Okay, Charlotte, we are speaking about impacting people and the beautiful planet that we get to call our home. So how can we take care of our planet better? What's impact here?
Yes, so that's interesting because it's actually going to be quite similar, my definition of making impact, even though we're in two different fields or working on two different things. But I was reading also a definition about impact, the word itself, and I think what I found was it's the measurable, quantifiable effect of your action, and that needs to be big enough to be quantifiable, right? And I was thinking, I think what making impact is for me is actually empowering people, individuals, and probably changing communities through education and providing the right tools. the right tools to people, right? So it kind of starts from within as well and from individuals, right? So not shaming people into doing things, but instead, accompanying people and making it more engaging for people to change their behaviors towards improved or more sustainable behaviors, right? And I think that's what we're trying to work on. With Nolimba, we're providing this simple tool to make it engaging for people to change their behaviors at home. So now you can make money from your waste, so that kind of encourages you to sort your waste at home and to make sure that you don't just burn your waste, but you will actually have your waste collected, but through an easy to understand tool and through engagement and incentivization, right? And with this, what we're doing is actually creating this ripple of effect that you were mentioning, right? To increase sustainable behaviors and to protect the planet and to improve the overall well-being of the communities, whether it's the households in our case or the collectors. We want to have this ripple effect starting at the individual level. So it's actually, my conception is probably very similar to yours, actually.
Isn't that beautiful? Yes, obviously, very different field and businesses, but still core. We're speaking about creating something on an individual level. So Charlotte, would you want to share, in the work that you do, working with communities, when you see people go through this change, like these stages of empowerment, getting back their dignity, they feel that they're contributing to something as well, what would you say, how would you describe that process that you get to witness?
Yes, so I think this process we see the most on the collectors side, because obviously we're connecting the collectors to the households, and that takes to onboard the collectors, to get them on board what we're doing, to train them, to explain to them, and there's always a bit of, what do you want from me? What is this that, you're bringing me this tool, but what is this going to bring to me? Do you want money from me? I think there's always this kind of fear where we initially approach them. And so it takes a bit of building the trust with the collectors, and we do see this massive change over time. The more collections we do with them and the more we actually accompany them to do this activity and the more smiling they are. When I first got here, I couldn't speak Bahasa at all. Not that my Bahasa is fantastic right now, but it's definitely better than it used to be. And initially, I couldn't speak a word, and I would just try to communicate to them and have this smile and be like, yeah, you're having this, we're not taking anything from you, we're just bringing this extra tool to bring you more business and to create more activity for you. And you could just tell by the end, there was just this massive exchange of smile. And yeah, absolutely, I think what I love to see about this is bringing the dignity back to their activity, because they tend to be kind of overlooked, because obviously not everyone wants to do trash work, even though it's so necessary and they're doing so much for the environment. It's not always what people, or who people look up to. And after some time, they're like, no, I'm doing something great. I'm actually doing something great. I'm giving money to people. They're happy. We're all happy. And I can tell that they're getting some pride in their activity. And that's definitely the most beautiful thing in what we're doing, I think.
Wow. Helping and empowering people to get their dignity back and feeling a sense of pride for the tremendous, importantly, work that they're doing. Thank you. And I could see your smile while you were sharing of how much it means to you. So that's beautiful. Thank you. And Miriam, Instant Karma. I know that you inspire people and you cover interesting topics, and there's just so much magic in that beautiful magazine. So what would you say with your words? Instant Karma and the work that you do and that you share, what would you say that impact means for you with the Karma magazine?
Sorry, again?
That was a complicated question. Let's just go back to your business, Instant Karma. How do you help to create impact with Karma magazine? That was more simple.
Yeah, through our platform, to the print magazine and the online magazine, and we do also events, like I call it Life Magazine. We bring the people, we write about the edition live, and like Charlotte, she's doing this great impact with No Limba, or Peggy, you are such an amazing person. So exactly this kind, or Rob, or you, Natalie, and exactly this kind of people we bring in the magazine, also destination, and of course this amazing culture from Bali. It's so unique, and Indonesia. It's we inspire through all this beauty from people and places, and this is our impact we do for for our readers or for travelers, for change makers, that they get this inspiration. Yeah, I don't want to go surfing, or I don't want to hang out in a resort. Oh, here I can go and have a Lontar experience, a culture experience, or they do impact. Oh, we can go there and then spread the word, right? This is from us, from the magazine to the reader, and from the reader it goes to another person. Yeah, this is the impact we do for the country and for the world, for ourselves, for the people. This is, yeah, because of all the amazing things what is happening. Yeah.
And you're just glowing when you're sharing that. Speaking about creating ripples and how we can connect, and also recognizing that we do connect through our stories. So I know that you also, highlight interesting stories in the magazines as well, to just add on to all that.
Because we have only 62 pages, and it's also a A5, so it fits into your bag, and you can take it everywhere. And for me, it's important that the content is interesting. It catches you also with the pictures, that you start reading it, and then you already finish. And yeah, I love what I do, and I'm also thankful for all my team and for the people I met along my way, and for my partner, for my daughter. Yeah.
She's just happy. Yeah. It's beautiful to see people who are, again, aligned with what they're doing and loving what they're doing.
That's very important. That's the first impact. Love what you do. And then you can inspire. When you positive, you can share these vibes, and that's impact as well.
Great add-on. I love it. So in just a bit, I'm just going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to invite you, the audience, in here if you have any questions that you want to ask these beautiful, inspirational ladies. Before we do that, what would you say in short? You kind of already said it, but you just summarize. What is it about your business, what you do, that you love the most? In short, to just summarize this conversation. Yeah, Charlotte, you feel called.
No, because it's very related to what I just mentioned before, but I think it's first the fact that we are focusing mostly on underserved communities, and seeing that some people that might have felt forgotten by either the system or by the situation as it is, see that they're being seen, and that they're being brought a solution or something that kind of makes their life easier and just brings a win-win to everyone. And I think that's definitely the magic that I feel about what we're doing. It's like we can see that on a daily. Every time we're on site and we do it. It's a simple thing, right? Waste collection. But we definitely see it's something that happens every other day. And we can just see the smile on people's faces. Oh, my garden is cleaner. I don't have to burn my thing anymore. It's not smelly anymore. I earn more money from it. Oh, great. The collectors is having more business from it. Fantastic. Everyone is just more happy about the situation, and seeing people kind of left behind having this for themselves, that brings me joy.
Thank you. I can tell. Okay, let's say Peggy then.
So I help a woman, well, men, if they want to, but mostly women. I help a woman to understand and know themselves better, and especially embrace the emotions, because I believe there are no good emotions, positive emotions, or negative emotions. All emotions are just emotions. So I help them to embrace emotions and open up themselves. The most important thing, that accept themselves and love themselves first, and believe you can love again. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Great pitch. Love it. Thank you. Okay, Miriam.
Yeah, just spread the word, spread the change. It's this what I love to give the platform and inspire the readers, and connecting. This is what I love. And see then when the article is finished, to hand it over to this person, and see how they proud they are. Oh, wow, I'm in a magazine. Yeah, give the value this and yeah, share this unique, amazing country with everything. With the beautiful chaos and everything.
Thank you. Yes, chaos can be very, very beautiful. Thank you, and colorful.
Yes.
So just circling back to the beginning of the conversation, daring to be the people, you know, that perhaps go left when others take the right path or whatever, and just following, well, our hearts, your joys, and just to be able to sit here and do what you do and create positive impact in the world while you're loving what you're doing. Not saying that there aren't challenges within it, but just being able to say, hey, I love what I do. That's just beautiful, because I know that each and every one of you have been going through lots of stuff in order to be able to sit here and say that and share that. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are not finished. We're just inviting you guys in. So yeah, anyone who would want to ask these ladies something? Yes, well. Okay, yeah.
Hi. Thank you so much. This is just such a beautiful, heartwarming story, and also just the energy that's just coming from all of you. So thank you so much for being here and sharing. The question I have for the three of you is, you've talked a lot about the impact and the external impact you're having on the world with what you do. Is there something, maybe one thing you each do on a daily basis that allows you to create impact for yourself, whether it's a ritual or a practice or an affirmation, that allows you to kind of reconnect with yourself and make an impact on yourself so that you can continue to externalize that?
Yeah, thank you. That's very important because when you so into your work, right, you forget yourself easily. So, and ritual is very important. So I love the Melukat ritual. That helps me a lot. And also the every morning walk at the beach and watch the sunrise. Yeah, at 6:20 in Sanur with my dog. This helps me a lot, and the ritual. And it's very important, yeah.
Yes, and it is very important, and I think it's very easy to forget. And I actually just found that I started to have white hair and white eyebrows, which is, I literally discovered that a few days ago, and it's stressing me out. But yeah, when I realize how stressed I am, I go back to definitely routines. Sunset is one of them. Bit of meditation or yoga or something that kind of gets you centered. And very important for me is to be surrounded by great people that grounds me. So my partner being the number one, he's the most grounding person ever. Just, I don't even know how he still bears with me constantly, you know, like taking my energy and giving me some calming energy back. And also friends, of course, and family. It's so important to have supportive people, around you. So for me, it's probably the most important thing, making sure that I reach out to people that matter and they just ground me.
For me, number one important thing that is at least I cook one meal a day for myself because it's my cooking meditation. And because every time you cook, you just feel like, wow, I love myself. I really take care of my body. So that is the number one thing I really do every day. And another thing I do every day, I call it the magical time of one coffee. I'm a coffee lover, and then I really enjoy the coffee. And when I'm doing coffee, drinking my coffee, I'm reading in the same time. So it helped me. I could see it's very interesting if I said that it's like a sense of achievement, because just only the coffee time, like maybe every day 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it helped me to finish 13 books last year. And so it changed how I think about reading. Like, you know, if you it could be very rushed. Maybe 5 minutes you needed to go for a meeting. 5 minutes, probably only 2 lines, but you finish 2 lines. And you feel like a little check, magical time of one coffee check. And then because you collect a lot of check, it gives you more credit and self-confidence. That's definitely every day I needed to do. Even just probably one sentence, I would just make sure that I do my coffee and book and check. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavna. Miss Carole.
So thank you, ladies. It was a really, really nice set of interviews. Charlotte, I have white eyebrows. I think it's a French thing, and I'm still alive, and I'm 52, so that's okay. Do not worry. I have a bit of an irreverent question tonight. Based on the assumption that good girls go to heaven and bad girls go everywhere, what makes you a bad girl?
Interesting question, as always.
I think I'm born as a bad girl. According to my mom, I never was a good daughter, good girl is her expectation, and I always did something that she feel like, why you're not the same? I said, why I needed to be the same? So I think that's my gene, my nature. Or probably because too many siblings. So that make the family very crowded, and I just want to live. So I think that's the reason. That's a really good question. I never thought about that. It's so philosophic. Yeah.
I
Chinese mindset. Very logical. Okay.
I start to be a bad girl when I stop to be a good girl. Yeah, I think it's this. I was also in my family, the black sheep. But yeah, so don't please just be true to yourself. That's a bandita.
I think I'm still very French in my temper. That's probably my bad girl side. So I look all smiley and nice pretty much everywhere, but I have a terrible, terrible temper. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but like my partner says I have two sides of me, and there's one individual character that he calls me is grumpy, and it's like if she's unleashed, the nice Charlotte is not there anymore. You don't even see her. Like that's how bad of a temper I have. I think it's just in my temper. It doesn't sound like much because you wouldn't see it, but I can be very bad on a daily. Like it goes emotional roller coaster. But also, I would say this. I think the reason why, the reason where the persistence comes from, is probably from that. I'm pretty sure we must have this in common, that we have kind of strong temper and just going head down into things, and that wouldn't happen if you don't have some sort of temper to kind of, own it. Exactly. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing and for the interesting questions. Yes. Okay, anyone else who has a question?
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kathy. I'm from Ecuador, and I'm super happy to be here. I want to ask a quick question to Miriam and to Peggy, because what do you do, girls, when you don't feel any inspiration? What do you do when, for example, you don't have anything maybe to write in the magazine or in your business, your coaching business? So what do you do? Like when you feel that everything is said or done?
No, I would not say sad. It's like I said, challenges are good. You have to have it, and from there you can grow. And from this experience you have, you bring this positive impact then, and you can inspire. For you, maybe it's bad, but then you can choose again what you're gonna do with this chance, actually. And it's that's why it's inspiration. It's not bad stuff I bring really the good stuff you create from your challenge in the bandita section, but we have other section as well. It's it's impact, it's explore, it's mindful, and we highlight also a lot of men. It's not a women magazine. Yeah.
All right, quick question. So, to each of the three guests, qualities, right? So there's probably people watching here now who are impressed by you. They love, what you're about individually and so on. And they might be wondering, well, if I want to be like that, let's make it three. Which three top qualities would you say that a person needs to have the success that you are having? Three top qualities.
Yeah, thank you for this question. That's a tough one. I'd say number one, I think resourcefulness. Resourcefulness, because you never start successful. You start with whatever resources that you have, which is sometimes very limited. In my case, it was very limited at least. So you need to find ways to make it happen anyway. So whether it's a lack of capital, how do you find people that would be happy to do it as volunteers? Whether it's limitation, in my case, I was like, I want to make an app. I'm not a developer. That's just a minor inconvenience. So how do I find someone that can actually make an application? So how do you find someone that is not going to be paid, that believes enough in what you do to actually jump in and do this entire thing and without even knowing you, So all these sort of things are very important. So resourcefulness, I would say, is number one. What's the name? Persistence. Persistence is the second, because I'm not as optimistic as you when it comes to challenges. I am sometimes very down. Sometimes very, very down. And yet sometimes you feel like there's no inspiration or there's no end of the tunnel. And you're like, oh, what am I going to do? And I think it takes to accept it probably first and be like, you know what? I've had that before. It's okay. I'm going to take maybe a day or just a few hours to think about it and see how I can move forward. So that would be the second one, and just never stop being persistent. And the third one would be, well, probably stubbornness, but listening at the same time, like within limits. Stubbornness to stick for what you want, but at the same rate, always be creating this space for trust and ideas, for people to just open up about the ideas that they have and just nurture off of that to move forward. So yeah, that would be my three.
Yeah, it's persistent that you keep doing what you do, and also also think, what's the goal? What's the purpose? And then maybe sometimes you have to go back and think again, and then move forward. And then a good team. It needs a good team, because you can't do that alone. And yeah, this is very important. And yeah, go through the storm and enjoy the ride. But it's not always easy. It's I go through a lot of challenges, but then motivation. It's this, and resilience.
I think the number one, like Japanese concept ikigai. So you have to set up your living, your meaningful living, like your purpose, because your purpose actually is about your passion, your mission, and you keep you on track and keep you doing the same, like persistently. And number two, I think it is about to make sure your values is like always make sure, because of course life is full of ups and downs, and we always in a dark point. But if you know that you follow your values are like the North Star. You can't reach the North Star, but you follow the direction. So the direction, the values is not your goals. The goals is just like you need to go to north, but you go, so now north you need to go to Sigaranja, so you go north. That's the goal. But the value is higher than goal. It's like your North Star. You follow your direction, and then even you are in darkness, you know that you can always find that sparks. And number 3, I think just action, take action. No matter what, of course, sometimes we feel we don't want to do anything. We know something we need to complete, but we just feel not doing that. Just do any simple, tiny action. You can just stand up, and then just check and say, I'm doing something. And then you do something because you're doing something. And then you change your mind, you change your brain, you change your behaviors, and also you change your emotions. Okay, so you don't need it to be perfect. I would say you don't need it to be the best, but do your best. Okay, thank you.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So much wisdom. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, one more question, if anyone else. Yes. Do we have it? Yeah.
Hello. So I have a question. So you guys are successful female entrepreneurs. There are certain trials like leaderships and business strategy. This usually being considered as a masculine energy. And when you acting more smart than males, they feel triggered and they may show jealousy and anger to you. And how do you guys deal with it elegantly? Yeah.
Actually, I don't have a partner, so maybe.
Sorry, just to, I'm sure I got the question right, because you did mention that some of the qualities are more like masculine energy, right? Like masculine qualities. And what was the final question? Is that a problem in regards to business, like people we encounter as males, or were you mentioning about the partner? Sorry.
Like some male, when they challenge you just because they're jealous and they don't want to accept you are smarter than them, how do you deal with it?
So partner-wise or business? Both. So relationship-wise, not at all, because I think if you choose the right person, they're actually going to be smart enough to not take it as a competition. So no, there's no competition there at all. He's extremely smart. We have 2 very different fields as well. He's like technical person, and I'm terrible at anything that's technical. So we each have our fields, and that's completely fine. And business-wise, it happens. I've always said my way to fight for like the women cause, like there are some inequalities and some injustices, and that's just a fact. My way of fighting with it is to not label myself like that, or not seeing myself as that. So I won't even acknowledge that for myself. I just go. If someone ignores me, it happened to me, like some people talking to my business partner when I was the founder, and they would just talk to him and not even look at me 1 second within like an hour and a half of discussion. And I was just sitting there like smiling because, there's not much I could do because I'm not in my country either. But my point is, I will not let that define me or think that it's any obstacle. If you don't want to deal with me, well, that's too bad, because anyway, I founded this, so I'm going to go to the next person. And whoever is going to be smart enough to listen to us as a whole, me included, then that's going to be the right person. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually, I don't feel that. I work actually with my partner, which is, also a challenge. But it's important to communicate and listen and then think. Think and talk. Listen, think, and talk. Yeah, communication is really key. And that you can find the balance and everything. It's for us it was everything new at the beginning, so we had to find our field first, and but I can say now we do it quite good because more is clear.
I would say masculine energy or feminine energy, they are energy. Energy is flowing. So you are not always in masculine energy or feminine energy because you're flowing. And everyone has actually 2 energies combined together. So it's kind of like yin and yang. And so if you are masculine, and then remember that in masculine part, that is always a feminine point there. So you don't need to say, I'm masculine, you are feminine, or you're feminine, I'm masculine. No need, because it's a flowing. So when you it's kind of like dancing with the flow. right? And then so you feel, someone feel threatened. Remember, that is his projection and can be your projection because you feel someone's jealous. It can be man or woman. But the thing is, sometimes it's just because you feel that, but it could, your emotion is not the fact. So the number one thing I would like to encourage you, back to your question, next time if you feel that someone, man, especially you mentioned that, if you men like have some like a threatened energy or like jealous, you just ask, like confirm with him, like, hey, what do you think about my job? And how could we collaborate with each other? And how can we make a goal and we can achieve together? Make this you and me become we, become us, and we can do together. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, seems like we have the questions covered. Amazing. We're going to wrap up in a bit. I'm going to ask you one more question that I'm thinking about as I'm speaking. So we're speaking about, you know, following our hearts, and it makes me think about a famous quote said by Joseph Campbell. He said, "Follow your bliss." And again, might sound like a cliche, but there comes so much power when we actually follow that simple advice. Well, simple, it's actually very powerful, but you know what I mean. So listening to your stories and getting the context of how you have been choosing to follow that voice from within, trusting yourself, owning who you are, and looking at where you're at now. What would you say still, if you could have written a letter to your younger selves when you were maybe perhaps, you know, struggling the most and like, shit, what do I do with this? Like, all those things. What would be your number one advice that you would have wanted to give yourself?
Okay. I would say not afraid of making mistakes. Just try anything now. You can change your mind. I mean, follow your heart, but our mind changes most of the time. And if you don't really try things, you don't really know which one you really love. And so in order to not regret later, you just try things and then allow yourself to feel, okay, I'm going to change. This is it's not for me. And allow yourself to make mistakes because we are humans. Everyone makes mistakes. So it's usual. It's normal. And allow yourself to really to feel that the feeling of frustration, because when you change your direction, you feel, oh, I betrayed myself, or I betrayed someone else, or I am a failure because I didn't really prove it. No, you don't need to prove anything to anyone else. The thing is, follow the heart means that you always be true, be genuine to yourself, and embrace your emotions. Allow yourself to be a human. Thank you.
Yeah, correct. It's like I said also before, follow your heart. That means go out of the comfort zone and then ask yourself, what do you want? And keep going. And because we live and life hurts sometimes, and that's okay. And yeah, just feel it. Feeling is very important. And yes, spread the love yourself, and create your life. We are like Joseph Campbell, make your story. And yeah, because it's yours, and it's also important what you do because you make impact.
The best advice I would have given myself is probably to put myself out there faster and to not listen to what people have to say. Don't get me wrong, listening to advice is a good thing, but constructive criticism, right? Not listen to people that try to put your idea down even before you did anything with it. You know, like sometimes you share your idea before when it's still blurry and you don't really know exactly where it's going. And some people are already going to be here to tell you, no, it's not going to work, or I see already this mountain of challenges. And I feel like the faster I would have owned my idea and just go for it anyway and be like, you know what, I'm going to share this, put it out there, you think whatever you want, and I'm just going to keep pushing. It would have spared me some headaches. Yeah. So.
Wow, so much wisdom in each and every one of you, and so much goodness. So what I'm hearing is obviously embrace our humanness. Is that a word? Humanness, yes. Just embrace being a human with all the ups and downs and the everything in between, and loving ourselves as we're going, following our hearts, and stop seeking for others people's approval, because the only one that truly fully needs to approve is the one that lives within. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful, and well said. We could keep on going because you ladies are so inspirational, and you are a lovely audience, and the energy here is amazing. And also for you who are watching, yeah, so much to say. But regardless, if you are sitting here in the audience, or if you are watching this either live or in hindsight, really, really dive deep within your heart. If there is something that you want to do and you are feeling unsure or not really knowing what to do or whatever, just going within, make sure that you're surrounded by people who believe in you and dare to ask for help, and just trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future, and that it is actually a beautiful and powerful way to be able to sit here later and to be able to say that, hey, I love what I'm doing and I'm showing up for the full thing, not saying that is a smooth everyday ride, just knowing that I'm here to create impact in a very unique way by being who I truly am. And you ladies are obviously perfect examples of that. You are true inspirations to the world. And yes, where can people find you? That's what I wanted to come. So if anyone sitting here wants to connect with you, obviously you can do that afterwards when we switch off the cameras. But if people want to connect with you online, where do we go? Peggy, where do I find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Peggy Li Chen, or you can find me on www.peggylilingchen.com. Thank you.
Yeah, you can find instantkarmamag.com or Instant Karma Mag on Instagram, or our beautiful print mag also here at Tropical Nomad. You can find it, and on other over 100 places. And yeah, you can buy it now in Amet at Good Stuff, Ubud Dharma Coffee, Uluwatu Chela, Sanur, Satviga Boga, and so on. You can find it on the list.
So you can find me on our Instagram at nolimba_, and also on our website, www.nolimba.com, nolimba with an H at the end. And also I wanted to share the starfish story. Is that possible? Because it's a bit disconnected,
Yes.
but I feel like...
I can't believe that I missed it. Thank you for the reminder. Please share the starfish story. Yes.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to deliver this before we go, because I think it's what changed my perspective on impact. And I think, I don't know, somehow it might impact some of you. So as a kid, I was probably like 8 years old when I watched a documentary about a lady, whoever she was, I don't even remember, but she was very inspirational. And she mentioned this starfish story at the end, which is a man walking on the beach covered in starfish, mountains and mountains of starfish for kilometers and kilometers. And he sees this lady that's just running around trying to throw some starfish back in the water again and again and again. And he goes to her and he says, what are you doing? Like, you don't see that it's kilometers and probably hundreds of kilometers of starfish. You won't change the situation. You won't do anything. And the lady turns to him and says, well, it won't change anything for the situation, but it will change everything for the starfish that I put back in the water. And that was kind of my whole thing about impact. So, yeah.
I'm getting the goosebumps. I love that story, and I forgot to mention it. So thank you so much for just bringing it to life. aliveness, and that's so much truth and wisdom that goes into that story. So what a beautiful way to actually summarize this whole panel discussion. And it's so interesting because we tend to always, strive for the next goal or the dream or the vision when we get there, But listening to your stories and just tuning inwards is so much about who we are becoming as we are going and as we are growing. Because at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that none of you would be able to be who you are, do what you do, and create the positive impact that you're doing right now if it would not have been for the fact that you have been showing up as active participants for the full thing. Not just the sunshine ride, but the downs and the ups and the full thing. And when I say the full thing, I think you all know what I mean by that. So yes, we all have such a powerful opportunity every single day of our lives to create something good in this world, and we do that by collaborating. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much, ladies, for being here and for sharing your unique personality, your glow, your radiance, and your stories to create ripples out in the world, because we never know who's watching. And also for you here in the audience who are here with us, creating a beautiful energy of love. and obviously, of course, Robert, I keep saying thank you. So the other day I was like, I need to find out a new word for thank you because it's getting a little bit old. But seriously, thank you so much for creating this space with Speak Up Monday so that we can come here and connect and get inspired and learn and grow and expand via each other's stories every single Monday. And also that I get to be here and get the opportunity to connect with all these amazing ladies. So here we go again. Thank you. And obviously beautiful Bhavna, who is also a co-host. So lovely to see you here as well. And I want to say thank you to, again, the audience, you people here. It's just beautiful to see this representation of the whole world sitting here in this room. That's beautiful. And of course, always Tropical Nomad co-working space where we're at. I kind of call this place my favorite jungle office, second home, and that is because all you people, Guzman, Hadis, I see you there, yes, where is IU? In the jungle over there. Like Ichi, all of you here, we come here and you always greet us with your smiles and positive energies, and it's just a blessing to be here. So I think that's all the thank yous for now. I'm feeling so much gratitude in my heart, a lot of love. And obviously you'll get to be more inspired next week, same time here. You can follow the topics on social media and or join our WhatsApp community, of course. And did I miss something?
No, you're good.
He said that I'm good. Okay, so we're good here. We can wrap up this full thing. And you can find the details for where to find these ladies in the show notes later. And let's wrap this up and give these ladies a massive big applaud. Thank you so much. Thank you.